catastrophic surge in power caused 2 explosions.
There are persistent reports of livestock being infected, of animals born with extraordinary deformities.
The Chernobyl exclusion zone, though notorious for its tragic nuclear disaster, has since evolved into a surprising haven for wildlife. As nature reclaimed this irradiated land, scientists have encountered a host of creatures that defy the odds. Number 1. The radioactive wolves. The Chernobyl exclusion zone, once an epicenter of human tragedy, has paradoxically become a refuge for wildlife. Among its most iconic residents are the gray wolves, now colloquially known as the radioactive wolves. Initially, the aftermath of the 1986 disaster led many to believe that the region would become a barren wasteland, inhospitable to most life forms for centuries to come. Yet nature, in its indomitable spirit, proved otherwise. The gray wolves, by nature, are adaptable and resilient predators. They were among the first larger mammals to make a noticeable resurgence in the area. In the absence of human inhabitants and with an abundance of prey, the wolves found an ideal habitat, untainted by hunting or habitat destruction. Over the years, these wolves have not only survived, but flourished. Their population in the exclusion zone has grown to be nearly 7 times higher than in uncontaminated nature reserves. One of the significant scientific curiosities was the potential genetic mutations and health issues these wolves might exhibit, given the high levels of radioactivity. Surprisingly, studies have found that while there are some genetic changes, these are not necessarily detrimental. In fact, most wolves in the region appear healthy, reproducing successfully and showcasing no overt signs of radiation poisoning. It's not just their physical health that intrigued scientists, but also their behavior. Observations have revealed patterns of long-range travel by some of these wolves, venturing far beyond the confines of the exclusion zone. One particular wolf, tracked via a GPS collar, journeyed over 250 miles away from its birthplace, indicating a natural expansion of territories and intermixing with populations outside the irradiated region. While the resurgence of the wolves is undeniably fascinating, it also provides an invaluable lesson about nature's resilience and adaptability. Here, in a place that once symbolized catastrophe, the wolves symbolize hope and rebirth. They teach us that nature can recover, sometimes in unexpected ways, even from the harshest of human-induced adversities. Yet it's crucial to remember that this isn't a fairy tale ending. The long-term effects of radiation on these wolves and their ecosystem remain a subject of continuous research. The very term, radioactive wolves, serves as a reminder of their precarious existence in a land that, while seeming serene, hides its scars beneath the surface. In the grand tapestry of Chernobyl's evolving story, the wolves stand out as emblematic figures. They represent the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, reminding us of nature's enduring spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. Amidst the silence of the abandoned cities of Pripyat and Chernobyl, the howls of these wolves echo as a testament to life's tenacity, painting a poignant portrait of survival and resurgence in the heart of a land forever marked by human folly. Number 2. The Przewalski's horses of Pripyat. In the eerie quiet that pervades the ghostly city of Pripyat, an unexpected sight emerges, a herd of wild horses grazing amidst the dilapidated buildings and overgrown streets. These are not just any horses, but the Przewalski's horses, the last truly wild horse species in the world. Their presence in the Chernobyl exclusion zone tells a tale both unexpected and evocative. Przewalski's horses, with their distinctive stocky build and pale manes, were once native to the grasslands of Mongolia. By the 20th century, they were driven to the brink of extinction, primarily due to human activities like hunting and habitat encroachment. By the late 1960s, they had vanished from the wild altogether, with only a few individuals surviving in zoos around the world. In a bid to reintroduce and revive the species, several conservation programs were initiated. As part of one such effort in the early 1990s, a group of Przewalski's horses was released into the exclusion zone, an area already abandoned by humans and largely devoid of direct human interference. The hypothesis was simple. In an area where human activity was negligible, these horses might find a suitable habitat to repopulate and thrive. The gamble paid off. The Przewalski's horses adapted remarkably well to the mosaic of forests, marshes, and open spaces around Pripyat. Without the immediate threat of poaching or habitat fragmentation, their numbers began to rise steadily. They found in Pripyat's quietude an environment reminiscent of their ancestral grasslands. The story of these horses in Pripyat isn't just about ecological adaptation, but also resilience. While the exclusion zone's levels of radiation raised concerns about potential genetic deformities and health issues, ongoing studies have shown that, much like the gray wolves, the horses too seem largely unaffected in terms of their general health and reproductive capabilities. Yet their presence in the exclusion zone isn't without challenges. They face natural predators, harsh winters, and occasionally wildfires. Furthermore, as the zone becomes a hub for scientific studies and controlled tourism, human intervention, even if minimal, is inevitable.
It's undeniably beautiful. It's really something to behold, not exactly something to fear.
The Przewalski's horses of Pripyat serve as a stark symbol of nature's ability to reclaim spaces, even those scarred by human actions. In their galloping herds, one witnesses the duality of Chernobyl's narrative, the destructive capability of humanity and the indefatigable spirit of nature. Their journey from the brink of extinction to the meadows of an irradiated city is a testament to the cycles of loss, rediscovery, and hope. It underscores the potential of conservation efforts and the intricate balance between letting nature chart its own course and offering a gentle guiding hand. In the shadow of the Chernobyl reactor, amidst the relics of a bygone era, the Przewalski's horses graze, a symbol of wild endurance in the face of adversity. Number 3. Barn swallows, mutations, and survival. Barn swallows, with their graceful aerobatics and iridescent blue plumage, are a familiar sight across many parts of the world. Yet, within the confines of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, these agile birds have become the subjects of intense scientific scrutiny. Their story in this irradiated landscape intertwines the threads of mutation, survival, and evolution in ways that both alarm and captivate. Shortly after the nuclear disaster, as the world grappled with the magnitude of the tragedy, nature began its quiet process of recovery. Among the myriad creatures returning or persevering in the zone, barn swallows were conspicuous. Their inherent mobility and widespread presence meant that any changes observed in their population could provide insights into the environmental impact of the radioactive fallout. As years passed, researchers began noting peculiarities. A higher proportion of barn swallows in the exclusion zone exhibited physical anomalies not commonly found elsewhere. These ranged from partial albinism, manifested as patches of white feathers, to deformed beaks and tails, and even in some cases, tumors. It was evident that radiation was influencing their genetic makeup, resulting in visible mutations. But nature's narrative rarely follows a straightforward trajectory. While these mutations indicated the undeniable impact of radiation, they also showcased nature's adaptive mechanisms. Not all mutations were detrimental. Some barn swallows, it seemed, were displaying a level of resilience, if not resistance, to the adverse effects of radiation. Their reproductive rates, though impacted, did not plummet disastrously. The population, while fluctuating, persisted. One could argue that the very act of survival amidst such adversity speaks of an evolutionary response. Those swallows which managed to reproduce successfully passed on a genetic lineage more equipped to handle the unique challenges of their environment. Over time, this could lead to a population better adapted to the exclusion zone's conditions. Yet the tale of the barn swallows isn't just a testament to nature's adaptability, it's also a poignant reminder of the costs. The rate of anomalies in the population, while perhaps decreasing over the generations, remains higher than in uncontaminated regions. Every malformed feather or beak tells a silent story of the invisible enemy these birds continue to combat. The barn swallows of Chernobyl are both victims and survivors. Their flight patterns sketch arcs of resilience in the sky, while their mutated forms bear witness to the long shadow of human error. They are a living testament to nature's indomitable spirit and its vulnerability. Within their tiny, fluttering forms, they encapsulate the complex interplay of genetics, environment, and survival, reminding us of the lasting legacy of our actions and nature's ceaseless endeavor to persevere and adapt. Number 4. The European bison's unexpected return. In the annals of wildlife conservation, the European bison stands as a majestic emblem of resurgence. Once widespread across Europe's woodlands, this grand herbivore, second in size only to the American buffalo, faced near certain extinction by the early 20th century. Hunted relentlessly and losing habitats to human expansion, only a handful remained in captivity. Their wild footprints had all but vanished. However, in an ironic twist of fate, the desolation following Chernobyl's catastrophe offered these giants a second chance. No one anticipated the return of the European bison to the exclusion zone. Their reintroduction wasn't a calculated move by conservationists, as with the Przewalski's horses. Instead, the bison found their way back to this land, guided perhaps by an ancient instinct and the lure of vast, undisturbed territories. As human presence dwindled, the dense forests and open meadows of the exclusion zone began to echo once again with the heavy tread of bison herds. For ecologists and conservationists, this was a revelation. It highlighted the inherent need for large mammals to have expansive territories free from human interference. The exclusion zone, spanning thousands of hectares with minimal human intrusion, provided the European bison with the undisturbed expanses they require for foraging, mating, and raising their young. But their return wasn't without challenges. Radiation, the silent specter of the zone, raised questions about the bison's long-term health and genetic integrity. Initial observations showed that, like many other creatures in the zone, the bison were not immune to the effects of radiation. Yet the vast majority appeared healthy, with robust populations and successful calving seasons. The impact of radiation, while not entirely benign, did not deter these creatures from reclaiming their ancestral grounds. This unexpected return speaks volumes about the resilience of nature and its ability to fill voids when given an opportunity. As human remnants faded, as buildings crumbled and roads disappeared under thickets, nature orchestrated its symphony of return, with the European bison playing a key note. The sight of bison grazing in Chernobyl's meadows, their imposing figures silhouetted against the backdrop of a setting sun, is not just a spectacle of beauty, but also of hope. In the very heart of a landscape marred by one of humanity's gravest errors, the European bison's presence reminds us of the planet's enduring spirit and its capacity for renewal. In this landscape of paradoxes, where tragedy meets resurgence, the European bison stands tall, a testament to nature's inexorable drive to thrive, even in the most unexpected of places. Their presence in the exclusion zone is both a lesson in humility for humankind and a beacon of hope for a world grappling with environmental challenges. Number 5. White-tailed eagles in abandoned territories. Amidst the quietude of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, a majestic figure takes to the skies, its broad wings casting shadows over the earth below. The white-tailed eagle, one of Europe's largest birds of prey, has found an unlikely sanctuary within this radioactive domain. As cities were abandoned and forests reclaimed their space, the skies too witnessed a return of these formidable raptors, telling a tale of resilience and opportunism. The white-tailed eagle, with its imposing wingspan and piercing gaze, is a predator that demands vast territories, not only for hunting, but also for nesting. Before the disaster, human activities, including hunting, logging, and habitat degradation, had significantly curtailed the spaces available to them. But with the sudden exodus of humans from the Chernobyl area, the once bustling regions transformed into expanses of silence, offering the eagles both solitude and abundant prey. Water bodies within the exclusion zone, though tainted by radiation, teemed with fish, providing these eagles with a steady food source. Forests burgeoned, offering safe nesting sites away from human disturbance. The conditions, eerily quiet yet bountiful, became inadvertently inviting for these birds, who began establishing territories, mating, and raising their young. Researchers monitoring the zone's fauna found an increase in white-tailed eagle populations, a trend counter to many other regions in Europe where they faced threats. This rise presented a fascinating conundrum. Could the benefits of a human-free environment offset the potential risks of radiation? Indeed, not all eagles in the exclusion zone displayed perfect health. Some exhibited signs of radiation exposure. However, the overarching narrative was positive. The eagles were not just surviving, they were thriving. Their numbers suggesting that the advantages of a human-absent territory, rich in food and nesting opportunities, might outweigh the downsides of radiation, at least to a degree. Yet beyond the empirical data and population counts, the soaring of the white-tailed eagles over Chernobyl's landscapes evokes a deeper reflection. It's a testament to nature's adaptability, its ability to reclaim spaces and persist even in conditions marred by human-induced calamities. The tale of the white-tailed eagles in the exclusion zone is a paradoxical blend of tragedy and hope. On the one hand, it's a somber reminder of the consequences of human recklessness. On the other, it stands as evidence of nature's undying spirit, its capacity to recover and flourish in the most adverse circumstances. As the eagles circle above, their regal flight becomes a symbol of endurance and resilience, an aerial dance of life's persistence amidst the shadows of the past. Number 6. Giant catfish of the cooling ponds. In the still waters of Chernobyl's cooling ponds, a legend has grown, both in tales and in size: the giant catfish. These colossal freshwater dwellers, often exceeding 2 meters in length, are one of the most astonishing inhabitants of the exclusion zone's aquatic ecosystems. The nuclear disaster, while rendering the waters radioactive, paradoxically became a boon for these catfish. Absent of fishing pressures and with a bountiful supply of smaller prey, the catfish thrived in an environment where few dared to tread. They grew larger, asserting their dominance in this unique ecological niche. Tales of their size, often embellished, drew intrigue and speculation. But beneath the stories, the giant catfish serve as living proof of nature's uncanny ability to adapt and capitalize on changed circumstances, even those tainted by nuclear fallout. Number 7. Brown bears, from hibernation to resurgence. Brown bears, emblematic of Europe's wilderness and its deep forests, had for decades been absent from the Ukrainian landscape due to hunting, habitat loss, and human encroachment. However, the vast tracts of land abandoned after Chernobyl's catastrophe offered an unexpected refuge for these magnificent creatures. Within the exclusion zone, where human footprints had faded, nature beckoned its old tenants. Brown bears, driven by instinct and the lure of undisturbed terrains, began their cautious return. Initially, their presence was mere speculation, fueled by sporadic sightings and paw prints. Over time, though, evidence grew undeniable. Bears were not just passing through, they were settling, foraging, and even breeding. In the safety of the exclusion zone's forests, they found sanctuaries to hibernate undisturbed and territories vast enough to support their needs. Their resurgence, like many others in the shadow of Chernobyl's reactor, paints a picture of nature's enduring spirit, reclaiming spaces and rhythms lost to time and human activity. Number 8. The elusive Eurasian lynx. Within the thickets and overgrown woods of the Chernobyl exclusion zone lurks a shadowy figure, rarely seen but often sensed: the Eurasian lynx. This magnificent and secretive feline, known for its tufted ears and spotted coat, had long been absent from much of its historic range due to hunting and habitat fragmentation. Chernobyl, with its unexpected sanctuary of dense forests and plentiful prey, offered the lynx an unforeseen haven. As humans retreated, the lynx advanced, capitalizing on the void left behind. Their silent footfalls and nocturnal habits made them specters in the landscape, often eluding direct observation. Yet the signs were there: tracks, territorial markings, and occasional glimpses by those who ventured into the zone. The Eurasian lynx's return to Chernobyl is more than just a tale of survival. It's a testament to nature's ability to reclaim and rejuvenate, even in areas scarred by human mistakes. Number 9. Black storks, thriving in desolation. Rising above the skeletal remnants of abandoned settlements, the elegant figure of the black stork can be seen circling the skies of the exclusion zone. Unlike their white counterparts, Black storks are shy creatures, preferring the solitude of undisturbed wetlands and dense forests. The desolation following Chernobyl's disaster, while tragic in human terms, provided these birds with an ideal environment. Devoid of human disturbance, marshlands and water bodies teemed with fish, while the vast expanse of the exclusion zone became a haven for nesting and raising their young. Year after year, the number of black storks increased, their continued presence signaling the health of the zone's aquatic ecosystems. The thriving population of black storks in such an unlikely place serves as a poignant reminder of the dual nature of Chernobyl's legacy, a human tragedy on one hand and an unexpected refuge for nature on the other. Number 10. The unyielding wild boar populations. In the aftermath of Chernobyl, amidst the desolation and abandonment, the wild boar found opportunities. With humans no longer posing a threat and with vegetation overtaking the built environments, these sturdy, adaptable creatures saw a surge in their populations within the exclusion zone. The scrubby undergrowth, dense forests, and absence of human hunters provided the wild boars an unprecedented sanctuary. They foraged through the remnants of human settlements, rooted in the dense underbrush, and increased their numbers significantly. Yet they were not untouched by the invisible hand of radiation. Some showed signs of contamination, and studies pondered over the long-term genetic impacts. But overall, the wild boar story in Chernobyl is one of persistence and adaptability, an emblem of nature's knack for thriving in even the most altered of circumstances. Number 11. Eurasian otters in contaminated waters. In the tranquil yet tainted waters of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, the Eurasian otter found its domain. These agile, semi-aquatic mammals, known for their playful antics and streamlined bodies, made a notable return to the waterways around the disaster site. The lack of human disturbances meant that riverbanks and water bodies were teeming with fish, offering the otters a plentiful food source. Their playful slides, distinctive tracks, and spraints became regular features along the waterways. However, the waters they frolicked in bore the scars of radioactive contamination. Researchers have been keen to understand how the otters navigate this landscape, whether they show signs of radiation impact, and how their food habits might be influenced. The presence of Eurasian otters, like many other species in the zone, presents a juxtaposition, a joyful resurgence of life against a backdrop of past human errors and ongoing environmental challenges. Number 12. The red fox, adapting and thriving. The glow of the red fox's fiery coat, illuminated by the moonlight against Chernobyl's altered landscape, tells a story of tenacity and adaptability. As humans vacated the exclusion zone, the red fox saw an opportunity. Expansive territories, an abundance of small prey, and the absence of human threats turned the zone into a fox's paradise. These canny predators, known for their cunning and survival instincts, quickly adapted to their new surroundings. Navigating fields and forests, they hunted rodents, birds, and other small creatures, capitalizing on the sudden boom of these species. And while the invisible specter of radiation lingered, the foxes, like so many other creatures in the zone, displayed a remarkable resilience. Observation showed them thriving, reproducing, and establishing territories. Their presence underscores a profound message. In the absence of direct human interference, even places scarred by disasters can become refuges for wildlife, showcasing the sheer will of nature to persist and flourish. Number 13. Squirrels navigating radioactive forests. Amid the dense canopies and overgrown underbrush of Chernobyl's forests, a small, agile creature darts from tree to tree. The squirrel. These sprightly rodents, with their bushy tails and incessant energy, found in the exclusion zone an unlikely home. As trees reclaimed the land and forests thickened, squirrels found ample food in the form of nuts, seeds, and fruits. The abundance of food, coupled with the absence of human threats, allowed their populations to burgeon. But the forests they called home were not ordinary. They bore the silent mark of radioactivity. Researchers, curious about the squirrels' ability to navigate this radioactive landscape, initiated studies to gauge their health and reproductive success. Preliminary observations indicated that, much like their larger mammalian counterparts, squirrels too exhibited a robustness against the odds. Their story, nimble and animated against Chernobyl's solemn backdrop, adds another layer to the complex tapestry of life and adaptability in the face of adversities. Number 14. The European badger's underground realm. Beneath the surface of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, a world of intricate tunnels and burrows unravels, home to the European badger. These nocturnal, stocky creatures, recognized by their distinctive striped faces, turned the deserted landscapes above into a subterranean empire. As humans departed, the badgers delved deeper, creating extensive burrow systems to rest during the day and emerge at night in search of food. The zone's terrain, replete with worms, insects, and an array of plants, provided a rich buffet for these omnivores. However, living so intimately with the Earth in a radioactive zone posed questions about the badger's health and longevity. Researchers' interest was piqued by how these creatures, so intertwined with the soil, coped in this environment. Initial studies revealed that while some badgers showed signs of exposure, their populations remained stable and their burrowing activities undeterred. This subterranean resilience showcased nature's capacity to reclaim, repurpose, and thrive, even in areas tainted by human error. Number 15. Moose roaming free in the exclusion zone. Among the silent witnesses to Chernobyl's transformation, the imposing figure of the moose stands tall. These large herbivores, with their broad palmate antlers and muscular frames, began to frequent the exclusion zone's overgrown fields and marshlands as human presence waned. With no hunters in pursuit and an abundance of vegetation at their disposal, moose found the exclusion zone to be an inadvertent sanctuary. Their leisurely graze across the meadows, wading through wetlands, and their serene presence became a symbol of the land's wild reclamation. Yet, like other inhabitants of the zone, they were not untouched by the residual radiation. Observers and scientists pondered the health implications and potential genetic changes in these large mammals. Still, the sight of moose herds roaming freely, unencumbered by fences or threats, painted a picture of unexpected liberty and resilience, a testament to nature's capacity to endure and reclaim spaces once lost.